Hello everyone, this is ZeroJ, and I'm here to show you how to draw Metal Gear Solid Snake. This is the newly released artwork of Phantom Pain, and I really love his new Yoji Ishikawa's new drawings and concept art. And we're just gonna try and follow it along. This is gonna be a real time. I'm gonna do everything as I go, and I'm planning on doing this under 20 minutes. So let's start. I always go for the eyes, the facial area, any place, and that's where my focus will be. So start this part. I'm just putting some grounds in so I know where everything goes, and this is probably where the nose would be. This part I'm talking about, and I'm gonna do the eyebrows. It's gonna be pretty easier because this is already a drawing that's released, and I'm just mimicking and doing the same thing that Yoshikawa did. And right now, I try to develop the eyes. Giving a little more detail. And I'm always gonna come back with my the white ink, so I can fix places that have too much black ink on it. And this is currently the brush pen I'm using is from Pentel, and it's black ink, and you can always refill cartridges with it. So once you're done, you can always buy new cartridges and buy the ink for it, which is really great. That's one of my favorite brush pens that I own right now. Okay, we finished the eyes, and I'm gonna build up from here. Try to put his eye sacs in. So the Punished Snake is, of course, the big boss. If not, I'm terribly wrong, and I'm a bad Metal Gear fan. He's old, so I'm trying to put a lot of wrinkles in. And I always start from one spot and just keep on building up. Follow the shapes. Right now, this is ears. And for like details, I always use the tip of the brush and just kind of let it dance a little. And you need to have varieties of line weight, which, will make it more dynamic than just stiff. So always kind of using the side of the brush and even the tip at the same time. And we're going to the nose, putting the scar in where he has. Don't know what he got this, but and gonna build the nose now. And if you always totally mess up, you can always go into Photoshop and try to revive what you have killed, like too much black ink, or just putting a little more color in it if you want. And the newly concept art has grays in it, so it'll look more dynamic, and it'll have values, so it won't look that stiff. So this is probably where I'll put my cheekbone. Just putting a little more line weight on that. And he has a really cool mustache, which I need to put. And here you can really just kind of push the brush in and give it varieties of line weight, just acknowledging it that it's not a single piece of hair, it's a block of hair. And it's really loose, so just kind of press down at parts you need. Like that. Just variety of line weights always help in the Metal Gear style drawings, because it's not just lines, it's you're trying to show the forms and stuff. And this part is a little bit shadow. If you've seen the artwork already, he has a cool, awesome cigar in his mouth. Always all the Metal Gears wants me to, start smoking, but haven't done that yet, And of course, the lip is here. And under the lip is always a big shadow. And we're gonna do the cigar. It's a round shape, so you can put some contour lines of it because it's round. And currently the smoke is coming out of here, but later we're going to do that in Photoshop, because I don't want to ink this paper. This paper is pretty lightweight. I think it's around 50 or 40. The ink will totally mess up the paper, and it's going to make it buckle. That's probably the word. So I'm going to leave the valuing part in Photoshop. I don't know if Yoja Shinkawa did the coloring also in traditional, but I bet he did in Photoshop because it's much quicker and there's less chance that he's going to mess up. And if you see his art, the original art of this image that I'm doing, it has some textures in it, and it seems like that he did it in traditional, but you can always put texture layers while you color in Photoshop and kind of give the feeling that you did it in traditional, but actually it's not. And right now we're going to go to the other side, the patch. The patch is all black, but we're not gonna make it all black. The side of the patch is going to have, even though it's gonna be really thin, it always has a side. So this is gonna be the side, and we're gonna leave that there. And it's gonna have highlights too. Right now, if you see this part, the The eye socket, yes, it's eye socket. It goes in, so it's gonna be in shadows than the other part. So we can always color this part. And I just want to make a clean line so it doesn't feel like it's blending with the other parts. It's an object, so I don't want to make it feel natural. I want to have some more cleaner lines. That worked okay. And probably next I'm gonna do the wrinkles on his forehead. I don't know if Yoji Shinkawa always use the brushes on everything, but currently I'm doing it with the brush. Everything's done with the brush, but it kind of seems that he might use a pen for other detail parts because he wants different line weights. And that might be true. It might be true, but I don't really know. I've seen some of his live artwork, and he only uses one tool at a time. But when he does these official concept arts, I wouldn't know his total process. I'm gonna have to, meet him in person if I want to know. Let's see. Wrinkles here. And the side of his head is round, so there has to be some shadow in there. And it might be cheating, but I did a sketch before this because I didn't want you to show you just the boring part, because sketches are always kind of boring. Just see the cool inking. But if you guys want to see a sketch first, you can always let me know. I was just, I think sketching parts are kind of not that cool as the inking. Okay, now we're gonna put the band part of his eye patch. I don't know if there's a cool name for this because it's snake. And later, it's all black, but it shouldn't be, but I'm gonna come back with white and put highlights in it, so always gonna come back for it. Poor Snake, he's so old now, he doesn't have that much hair now. And for the hairs, you don't have to indicate like every piece of single hair. And always just kind of block it in, I suppose. And let's see. This part is gonna be his forehead. Oops, sorry guys. I was just doing the drawing that I didn't know that you guys weren't looking at it. Well, this is my first real time drawing, so I hope you guys excuse me. I'm trying to do this fast and great and good looking as possible. If I take some time, probably it'll look better. Just as Yoji Shikawa, of course I can't do the same level as him because he's a god. There's a cool fact I heard from a friend who works at Blizzard. He wanted to go into Kojima Studios. He actually got the offer, but he turned it down later. And he said that one of his favorite artists was Yoji Shinkawa, and actually Yoji Shinkawa, he did fan art of Metal Gear before he went in and become the art director of it. And after Kojima saw it, he got scouted, and now he's the art director of Metal Gear Solid and all the series. And thank God, because thank God that he was found by Kojima and not someone else, because Metal Gear is really awesome and the art is just spectacular. I hope one day I get to work besides him, because that's the place I really want to go. Of course, I won't be doing the same thing as he. I'll probably do errands and stuff. But I probably know that I'll learn a lot from him. Like, I don't care, I'll do all the copies, do all the copies and make him coffees and everything. Okay, this rest of the site and the original artwork, it's done in Photoshop, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that when I do my coloring. Let's see, this part is his coat. And this is probably his suit armor or whatever. His suit probably. To indicate it. And this part is his jacket, his coat. Okay, right now it's 17 minutes so far, and I'm gonna go back and do the details. Details that would bring us a little more of what we want of Solid Snake to be awesome. I just want to put a little more indication in the nose, and a little bit more of the hair. Hairs are always hard for me too. I don't know how Yoshinkawa does this so awesomely. But, well, it's him. He knows what to do. It's his art. Just gonna put this in black. And right now, 1 more minute. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this fast. Gonna do this under 20 minutes. That was my goal. I'm gonna have to stand up and see what parts are not working. 30 seconds. Okay. And then I come back with white. It's also from Pentel. And it's a really nice tool to get thin lines, highlights. This part needs, and highlights there. And just gonna put a little more detail here. Putting negative shapes will help to give different line weights. Right. There, and something there. Okay. This wave's done. It's 20 and 21 minutes. Okay, I went over a little, but this, how it's done, is a real-time render of it. Well, not a render, but real-time painting of this. And what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna put down my sign. ZeroJ 2013 12 19. This is how we do the date in Korea. We go with the year first. And this is it. This is my render I'm drawing of Solid Snake. Hope you guys like it, and I'll come back with the coloring in the second part. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the second part of the tutorial of coloring Solid Snake. Now, first I made a multiply layer, and we're gonna go with a yellowish green tone as my base. Now, what I did is I didn't want to follow the original artwork that didn't have any color in it. It was gray tones and black and white. But I didn't want to follow the exact same thing. I wanted to experiment and do something new with it. So even though I copied the inking, the coloring part, I wanted to do something on my own. So I started with this color, and then I'm just blocking in and just putting as my midtone. Now what a multiply layer does, it's a layer that whatever value you put on that layer, it's gonna go under the darker color. So whatever has a darker value, it will pop up. So as you see, my layers orders on the bottom right, even though it's on top of my inking, it won't go over the ink. So that's a really helpful tool to know. And now I'm just erasing the parts that I don't need. It's still on the multiply layer, so whatever I erase is just from the multiply. And as you see, I'm erasing it. I'm not coloring white in it, because later on I'm gonna change the yellow parts and select it all and leave the whites as just highlights. We'll go to that soon probably. I did record this in real time. I did a real-time recording of this while I was going, but it was too long. It was like around 45 minutes. I don't want you guys to just look at the whole 45 minutes watching me just color and then just make decisions and stuff. So I just shortened down. I think this 3 times faster than the original, so it's pretty shorter. And now I'm just cleaning up the lines. I'm still erasing. I'm not coloring white on that layer because white is still a brush, it's a value, it's still on there, but if I erase it, there's nothing on that layer. And towards now, still cleaning my lines. I'm trying to make some cooler lines, like even though in the coloring I'm trying to put line weight in it, so it looks more dynamic and it has a better flow and naturalism to it. And currently, just going back, cleaning up highlights, because later on I'm gonna have to, after the midtone, I'm gonna have to put my shadows in and a little bit of a different color of the highlights. I'm gonna put kind of 3 colors probably. And now, as you see, I selected the multiply layer, so it selects everything on that layer that I put down except the erased portion. So as my shadows, if you see on the greens, they're cooler colors, so they'll be my shadows. And you see me just put color. I'm coloring the multiply layer just by that, selecting everything I selected. How you do this is you'll go to your layers on the right side, and then on the Mac, I don't know with Windows, but you can probably find that out. Just press some buttons. You can press Command and click on that layer, and then it'll select everything you put on that layer. So it won't go out of that range. So it won't go over that place that I raised or any other places. So that really helps out. It's an easy way to color what you've put down as your brush strokes. And I always kind of zoom out and see the color balance and the values, so I can get it in just one glance. Sometimes mostly I use the navigator on the top right. That really gives me an easier view of the current values and stuff. And I'm just cleaning up and just giving a little different line weight in my coloring. And as before, you've seen, like, I didn't want to just make the whole thing black on the eye patch, so I have to reveal some highlights on it. Now we made another multiply layer, and this is a technique that Yoji Shinkawa does. He makes these black squares on the background to pop the characters out, and that's what I'm doing right now. This is from the original artwork as well. He uses this technique a lot in his concept art. And we're just cleaning it up so it doesn't look like a cutout. I'm probably erasing a little bit, making it not just like a cutout, just a little bit natural and hand-drawn feeling to it, so it can blend nice with the ink. And you see the edges, they're not all clean, they're not just like slap cutouts. They're more like a hand-drawn feel to it, and that's what I wanted. I'm just going back and putting hairlines so it doesn't look too artificial, more organic. And now I'm gonna make another square. Right now I'm probably gonna, I followed the same value as the original artwork of this. It's gray background, but later on I'm probably gonna change it because I really didn't know what color I want to use, but I knew what I was gonna do with composition, so I just put that down. I can always change the color as I changed Punch Snake. Now I'm giving some like rough erasing. It's not like full opacity brush strokes. This is probably probably a chalk brush I'm using right now, so I can have some more natural, like some more textures on the brush strokes I have, even for the coloring. And the whites are the highlighted part of the hair. So I'm putting different line weights. That's a really big important thing to do. Like thin lines, thick lines, they always help. And this is the rest of the part of the coat that he's wearing. This is kind of, well, Yoji Shinkawa, he does a lot of these negative stuff on his work, but I never saw that he utilizes it at like this, like more exaggerated. So that was a nice approach, and it was a new approach for me too. And currently, if you see the brush strokes, it has really good, it has a lot of textures, and right now I'm not erasing it, I'm just coloring white because currently my Photoshop brushes, I don't have like a really nice texture for the eraser, but for the brush textures, brush types, I have a chalk brush that I can use. So right now I'm using it as white and try to get the gray tones come through and whatever it's beneath it to kind of show up. Kind of feels like, you know, chalks and pastels. Just clean it up, trying to figure out how to make it more interesting for the code. And just cleaning up my lines, and probably gonna fix my values a little bit more. Right now, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to make it a little bit more natural, so I just wanted something to bleed out, but I didn't go with that. And I was thinking, no, I just want it to be like this. And I'm gonna fix the hairs. Give it a little bit of different waves and curves so it looks more natural. And this is still on my original multiply layer of the coloring. And different line weights for it to smoke, so it's not just one big blob of white. And right now I open my color balance for that gray background, that square part, and just seeing what colors I need and comparing it. Go back, use the hue and saturation adjustments to see if I can get a different color or a different tone. But as you see, when I put the sliders on some edges, it changes the values at the white part. Is because I colored in white. I didn't erase that part, so that's why it's showing up. So I had to go back to the hue and saturation adjustments to change the colors. And I'm still kind of strolling what I wanted, but I'm going to stick with the green. Okay, this is a stained paper I found on Google, and we're going to use this as a texture layer to get a little bit of texture in the drawings. At least for Snake, not the background. I wanted more textures for Snake to give a more natural feeling to it. And just sliding the levels layer and trying to get some values what I want. And this is currently a overlay layer. You can do a multiply, sometimes screen, but right now I'm using the overlay layer to make the paper be more natural. And I'm adjusting the levels so I can kind of change the textures in it, the values. Now probably gonna fix some edges or the tones. This is probably the last 5 minutes of this video, so I'm gonna probably just do the details for it. Fixing the lip and fixing the forehead line. And I'm going back and putting more hairline details as a color, so it's not all just white there. And this is just putting out white highlights for the places that are too dark, because even though if it's in shadows, if there is light, they will have highlights. And Nyoji Shikawa, he does a really opaque white to bring out his highlights. And putting a little more detail in the hairs. Hairs are pretty hard for me, especially in Photoshop, so I kind of struggle a lot. And I'm currently made a color dodge layer so I can bring out some cool effects on the highlights. So what the color dodge does, it overbrights a highlight and making these sun ray like hidden effects, which looks, sometimes it looks natural and sometimes it gives this neon feel to it. But I never use it too opaque. I really have my brush opacity low. And this is the overlay layer. The overlay layer, I can select the color and then I can color over it, just glazing if you think of oil plating. So I'm adding color to it. Sometimes I mostly use that layer and get some cool glazes into it, so it has more color. I like to put a lot of color into my artwork. And I'm gonna put more white highlights on everything. And this on a new layer. This, the most top layer, it's a normal layer. So I want some white to just cover everything up and be a opaque highlight. So giving more highlights for the eye patch, for it to pop up, because it's an object, it's on top of Snake's face, so it's going to have a more intense highlight. And I'm going to clean up the round edges, the edges of that rectangles to be the same level. And we're pretty much done, I think. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope this really helped you out. And if anyone wants the real-time coloring of this too, you can always let me know. I just thought that it would be too boring. Well, thank you.